What you are currently looking at and are probably familiar with is the top-of-the-line CX-5 from Mazda. It's a 2.5-liter all-wheel drive. Now, you're probably thinking to yourself that, no, that's not the top of the line. The top of the line is actually the 2.2-liter turbo diesel with SkyActiv-D. No, because that particular model has gone the way of the dodo. So this right here is the king of the hill. That is, until today. Today marks the 10th year anniversary of Kodo and the launch of the CX-5, and we're here at Mazda Center of Excellence in Cabuyao simply because, well, they've got a little surprise for you, and me too, and I can't wait to show you. Haha! Well, hello, gorgeous. This, ladies and gentlemen, is the 2022 Mazda CX-5 all-wheel drive turbo with a 2.5-liter engine. Turbo. Yes, you said it. I said it right. Turbo. Here she is, ladies and gentlemen, in the metal, the 2022 Mazda CX-5, one of 3 models available in the country. So let me run that down for you. You've got the 2-liter, you've got the 2.5-liter all-wheel drive, just make sure I got that right, and then you've got this, the 2.5-liter all-wheel drive turbo. Turbo is the latest thing, but that's not the only thing, obviously, that's new. So I'm going to be talking about what's underneath the hood, what's on the exterior, what's on the interior, the technology, and of course, more importantly, the price. Before we get started, this color is actually brand spanking new. This is called Zircon Sand. There's also yet another color, which is Polymetal Gray. Now, these 2 colors are only available for the turbo, along with the rest of the colors that you're normally used to, including Machine Gray and Soul Crystal Red, which obviously still have a premium on them. But enough about the colors. Let's talk about the car itself, which is exactly why we're here. First off, you'll notice that the logo up front is similar to that of the Mazda CX-9. It's now sort of like covered in a crystal shield, so to speak, and we probably figured that there's a lot of radars behind this particular logo. Now, the grille is obviously very, very different. There was a lot of chrome on the previous grille, but here it's more black. It's still huge, and it still gives you a very commanding presence. On the front clip, you still have these cuts that you can see on Mazda's newer products. But now there is this chrome accent is now, it's a little bit smaller, so to speak. The LED lights are still slim and they look great. The biggest difference up front, well, apart from those that I just told you, is that now there is no longer fog lamps. So the technology of these lights are similar to that of the CX-9, where it actually brightens or shows you the rest of the road, which is very, very nice. That is most of the changes in the front clip. If you put them side by side, you'll probably be able to see the main differences there. And if you want to see a whole list of everything that changes, obviously head to our website, AutoDeal.com.ph. But we're not done with our tour yet, are we? Okay. Now, earlier I mentioned it's their 10-year anniversary, and I had to look this up, but your 10th anniversary is basically aluminum or tin. And for their 10th year anniversary, they gave us new aluminum alloys. Look at that, it's gorgeous. These are the same configuration as the Mazda CX-9, albeit it's an inch smaller. So these are 19s, which look darn good on the car. I love these wheels. Mazda seems to have very good taste when it comes to wheels, and man, they are definitely showing off here. Another thing that you'll notice just by the side itself is that the previous CX-5s had like black cladding on certain portions of the automobile. Now you'll notice that it's a full body color, apart from some small blacks up front and in the rear, and maybe here underneath the side view mirror, but predominantly it is one body color. And that, to me, sort of like enhances the size of the automobile. It doesn't entice exactly the cuts, but the whole size looks much, much bigger. The shape of the windows and the chrome around are exactly the same, so is the repeater on the side mirror. So basically what's main changes will be the wheels. Ground clearance is still exactly the same. Come to the rear and I'll show you the rear lights. Now, while the shape, the general shape of the rear taillights are still similar, the configuration itself has changed. You'll notice that it's much flatter now, whereas opposed to the previous generation was a bit more round and it kind of stuck out just a little bit. It was actually pretty cool, but now this one looks like it's matured somewhat. But again, it's a different configuration altogether. And of course, the main difference is the turbo badging here, but we'll get to the engine a little bit later. The main bumper, the rear bumper still predominantly looks the same. A few cuts that are different. This is slightly a little bit bigger than the previous generation, whereas the one, there was a black strip underneath. Now it's much bigger. So again, like I mentioned, most of the car is actually one particular color, whereas the black trims are slightly less than the previous generation. Two exhausts found at the bottom. Yes, the previous generation did have 2 exhausts as well, but these finishers are much bigger. Massive. Oh, and the repeaters down here, rather the reflectors down here, are now in a different shape and just a little bit higher to the previous generation. Open her up, and you are still looking at the same amount of cargo space. Found underneath is a spare, which is just a, what do you call this? A donut. So it's a temporary fix, but it is still pretty much the exact same configuration, it's space-wise for the rear. Now, I must add also that the changes that I mentioned here on the exterior are just available only on the turbo variant, just this particular variant. And speaking of turbo, why don't we go to the engine before we get into the inside of the automobile, okay? On to one of the biggest, if not the biggest changes in this CX-5, which is under the hood. If I can open it, there you go. Okay, folks. You are looking at a brand new engine for the CX-5. It's not exactly brand new because this engine actually comes from the CX-9. So all that power in the CX-9 squeezed in to the size of the CX-5. And that is a lot. And a lot meaning you are looking at 250 horses, 434 Newton meters of torque. And that produces a top speed of 224 kilometers per hour. Now the car is 100 kilograms heavier than the previous model, but it can still make 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in just 7.7 seconds. What? And 434 Newton meters of torque. That's like close to like a pickup truck. Jesus Louise. As a passenger in the CX-5, 4 people easily, no issues. That is, I'm not even sure if that's my normal driving position, but it seems like it. But I've got a lot of room for my legs, a lot of room for my head. Elbow room is actually pretty good. 2 adults back here, no issues. A third, well, there is a tunnel, so that might be kind of an issue, see? Feet are kind of up, and plus it might not be very comfortable because your nether regions will become extremely cold because the air vents are found down here. So much better, much more comfortable rather, if you have just 2 passengers. The seats are or the pattern and the material rather is new to the CX-5 because it is lifted from the CX-8. This is a deep red Napa leather, and it is, oh my gosh, it's gorgeous. Like you could get naked and slide up in this thing. It's so nice. Why? I'm saying you could. I'm not saying I would, Jack. You're a disgusting boy. Anyway, to continue, you also get a center armrest with 2 cup holders. No charging points found down here because the charging points are found, ta-da, right there. That's a nice touch. So it's not in the way. Overall, I think it's still very quite Mazda. It's very, very comfortable back here, but I guess not as comfortable as the front seats. On to the business end of the CX-5, and truth be told, it's actually quite similar to the previous generation, which is not a bad thing because it's actually a great place to be in. You don't feel fatigued. The driver ergonomics are very, very good thanks to Jin Bai Tai. Yeah, I can see myself driving in this car for like 5-6 hours. Like we could go to Baguio again if you want, Jeff. No, okay, we won't do Baguio again. But truth be told, I wouldn't feel fatigued at all driving this automobile. There are, of course, some changes inside here. Number 1 is that you now have wireless Apple CarPlay. No wireless Android just yet. So it seems like Mazda loves Jack and hates me. Boo-hoo. I'm kidding. You do also continue with the wireless part. You have wireless charging found down here for 1 mobile phone. And then you also have paddles that are now available in the CX-5, which weren't on the previous generation. But the biggest change, and I do mean the coolest change, is the fact that these seats are now ventilated. Yep, there's air that comes out of these guys, and I love it. Where is the button for the ventilated seats? Oh, there they are. If we could, well, we can't start the car, but these are the buttons right here for the cool air to come out, and that is awesome. also taking a lot of its technology out of the CX-9, or rather borrowing it from the CX-9. There are a slew of driver aids and technologies that are available on this top-of-the-line CX-5, and it is wonderful. The last thing that we need to talk about is the price. Against the competition in this particular category, it's up against the likes of, let's say, the Lexus NX350H. Now, that, unfortunately, is about $1 million more expensive than this guy. Then you've got, let's say, the Toyota RAV4. That's about 200,000 pesos more expensive. This is priced exactly the same as an Outback, but the engine of this car trumps the Outback's output like any day of the week and twice on Sunday. So what I'm trying to get at is the price for the all-new Turbo is 2,380,000 Philippine pesos. The only thing that remains is to figure out exactly how fuel efficient this engine is because of, well, gasoline prices out there. Is it still as fuel efficient as previous Mazda models? I'm dying to find out. In fact, I'm hoping that we find out real soon with a test drive from Mazda, because I'd be really disappointed if we don't get our hands on this. I'm talking to the Mazda executives over there, by the way. Look at them. Yep, they're all panicking. Thanks for watching this quick little walk around. Stay safe, everybody. See you soon.